Good afternoon, and welcome to the New York City Committee on Landmarks, Public Sightings, and Disposition. At this time, please place your phone on vibrate or silent mode. If you want to submit testimony, send it to testimony@council.nyc.gov. Once again, that's testimony@council.nyc.gov. At any time during this hearing, do not approach the dais. Thank you for your cooperation. Chair, we are ready to begin.
Good afternoon and welcome to the meeting of Subcommittee on Landmarks, Public Sightings, and Dispositions. I am Councilmember Camila Hanks, and I'm the chair of the subcommittee. I am joined today by my colleagues, Councilmember Brannan, Farias, Marte, Nurse, Salam, and Aviles. Before we begin today's agenda, I will remind everyone that this meeting is being held in a hybrid format. For members of the public who wish to testify remotely, we ask that you first register online, and you may do so now by visiting www.council.nyc/land use to sign up, and then sign into the Zoom and remain signed in until you have testified. For anyone with us today in person wishing to testify, if you have not already done so, please see one of the sergeants to fill out a speaker's card, and we will call your name at the appropriate time. For anyone wishing to submit written testimony on the items being heard today, we ask that you please send it via email to landusetestimony@council.nyc.gov. Include the land use number and/or project name in the subject line of your email. Video and audio testimony will not be accepted. I will remind members of the public that this is a government proceeding and that decorum shall be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent unless and until called to testify. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video, recording, or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or visual recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of such recordings to the sergeant for inclusion in the hearing record. Now I will open up the public hearing for LU 84 and 85, an application brought by multiple city agencies, Department of Transportation, Department of Design and Construction, Department of Citywide Administrative Services, and Department of Parks and Recreation for the acquisition of real property and changes to the city map to facilitate the Red Hook Coastal Resiliency Project, a project aimed at reducing flood risk along Brooklyn's Red Hook waterfront in Councilmember Aviles and Hanif's district. Protecting the climate against climate change is essential. This innovative project's flood protection system includes flood walls, deployable barriers, raised streets, and other infrastructure designed to mitigate coastal storm flooding. Importantly, the project achieves these goals while maintaining neighborhood connectivity and access to an active waterfront and ensuring minimal disruption to pedestrians, cyclists, and vehicles. Appearing today on this proposal, we have Eric. I'm sorry, can you say that?
Hi, Eric Ilyevich.
Ilyevich, thank you. And from the Department of Design and Construction, Beth DeFalco from the Department of Environmental Protection, and Joseph Meltzer from NV5. Those wishing to testify must register online by visiting the council's website at council.nyc/land use. Council, will you please administer the affirmation?
Panelists, would you please raise your right hand and state your name for the record?
Eric Ilyevich.
Joseph Menzer.
Thank you. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this subcommittee and in answer to all council member questions?
I do.
I do.
I do.
Thank you, applicant. Panelists, please begin.
Hi, good afternoon, council members and all. Thank you so much for your time today. Again, my name is Eric Ilyevich. I'm Director of Coastal Resiliency at the Department of Design and Construction. Thank you for your time today to look over the land use actions included in the ULURP for the Red Hook project, SANDRDHK. I'll just go through the agenda, which is on the next slide. So we're going to talk briefly about a very high-level project overview and schedule, talk about the existing conditions and how we hope to mitigate the flood risk, go through the design review, refresh folks on the environmental review, and then take a closer look at the land use actions in the ULURP, and then summarize and look at the next steps. So the next slide, please. This is for the project overview and schedule. And we can go right to the next slide, please. Thank you. So again, at a very high level, we're providing coastal flood protection risk reduction while maintaining the connection and access to the active waterfront, which we do with an entirely passive system at 8 feet. We have some deployable measures, but if we don't even deploy those, we'll have protection up to 8 feet. So we increase that level of protection to 10 feet by including those roller gates and flip-up gates, which will address 99.9% of historic storms in the Red Hook area. Throughout the design process, we were able to include improvements to open space by adding improvements to the BWG, or the Brooklyn Waterfront Greenway. The next slide will talk about the schedule. And just moving from top down, we are in the process of submitting our Public Design Commission project and for their review and approval. We're at the final stage of ULURP, which is again presenting to you all for your acknowledgement of the land use actions in our ULURP. Other than a brief break for COVID in 2021, we have met the community many times at the CBs, as well as in small group sessions, and we've also submitted the environmental assessment. Our next slide shows us a brief overview of how we, this is the actual milestones of the community engagement that we've had throughout the life of the project, going all the way back to 2016 and 2018 in feasibility, all the way up till now in final design and ULURP. Okay, the next slide, please. So we'll remind folks again about the flood protection alignment, and the next slide shows how we do that. This is an image of the project area, and then just looking from top down, there's a faint black dotted line, which is the natural topography at an elevation 10. So we tie into that with two sections of flood protection, both at the Atlantic Basin section, which is at the top of the screen, as well as the Beard Street section at the bottom. And those blue lines are the composition of both flood walls, flood gates, and raised streets and sidewalks for both of those areas. And again, those separate components are tying back to high ground at 10 feet, elevation 10 feet, which is that black dotted line. So let's take a closer look at some of the actions, again, that are specific to this application. So the next slide. This is the land use composition. This is a picture which shows a whole host of different land use uses in different colors throughout the area with the alignment of the flood protection. And so this land use composition includes an active industrial waterfront with inland residential areas. There is a strip of mixed-use space between these two areas, including one-story warehouses to six-story multifamily buildings consisting of light manufacturing, artist studios, restaurants, and a host of varying local businesses. Some of the larger standouts that you can see here are the IKEA, as well as the Red Hook Houses, which is the largest NYCHA development in Brooklyn, where there are 24 six-story buildings where about 70% of Red Hook's approximate 11,000 residents reside. Please also recognize that the vast majority of the waterfront is privately owned, except for only a few public waterfront access points, including the Valentino Pier and the waterfront esplanades at IKEA. This entire area is surrounded by navigable waters under a federal jurisdiction, and the handful of historic buildings, particularly along Beard Street, were originally designed and located to take advantage of their close proximity to a working waterfront and to facilitate all of the commerce and industry associated with that waterfront connection. This patchwork of ownership was the key driver for the final alignment of the flood protection system, and that is, again, indicated in the black line that you see here. The next slide, please. This is an image showing the different zoning areas in the Red Hook area. Medium to heavy manufacturing zones are mapped along the waterfront, with an M21 district along the neighborhood's western shoreline and an M31 district along the southeastern shoreline. A light industrial M11 zone was mapped to serve as a buffer between the industrial waterfront and the residential core of the neighborhood. Low to medium density residential zones with limited commercial overlays are located in the center of the neighborhood, and a local truck route wraps around the neighborhood on Van Brunt, Beard, and Bay Streets. The next slide, we take a look at some of the policy that affects the area. So this is an image, again, that shows the black line of the flood protection system, as well as some of these specific zoning areas, which I'll describe. The zoning has been consistent largely since 1961, but there have been some changes to note, including the following. In 1996, CB6 approved the 197A plan for Red Hook, which is the area outlined in the pink dotted line. The plan has two goals, which are essentially to increase housing supply and preserve the growing neighborhood's industrial economy. This plan also included a number of proposals, including a mixed zoning study, increased public waterfront access, and truck route modifications. Following the 197A plan, the Red Hook Stores rezoning area was mapped as one of the city's first mixed-use districts in 2002, as well as the IKEA rezoning in 2004. Also established in 2006, the majority of the Red Hook project is located within the Southwest Brooklyn Industrial Business Zone, or IBZ, which is shown in purple. And the IBZ spans Red Hook's industrial waterfront and extends to Columbia Waterfront District to the north and Sunset Park to the south. So let's take a look at the next slide, which shows the flood risk to the area. So a majority of the neighborhood shown here in the blue-green is the 1% annual chance flood hazard area, or the 100-year floodplain. And that means that every year there's a 1% chance of a 100-year flood in this area. And just one thing to note, that this area has an elevation generally from about 4 to 8 feet. And a reminder that that's what our system protects to just passively. The area in orange are the 0.2%, or the 500-year floodplain, which has a much lower risk of flooding due to the natural topography of the area with an elevation at around 10 feet. And again, that's the reminder of when we deploy our gates, we get to that level of 10 feet. So the next slide shows the actual flood protection components as part of our design review. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this dark blue line is the alignment of the concrete flood wall. It's very hard to see here, but there's a dark blue line there. The yellow and orange markers are the locations of the flip-up gates and roller gates, respectively. The light blue markers include areas of the street and sidewalk reconstruction, which again are some street raising or some regrading. And the purple areas are independent flood protection components around critical areas outside of the public right-of-way. And those are mainly protection of electrical power substations or mechanical equipment. So that is, again, is the overview of the actual components of the system. The next slide, please. And this is a close-up of what those elements actually look like. The flood wall on the left is, again, steel reinforced concrete. That formwork that you see there, you may be able to start recognizing throughout the city, most notably on the East Side Coastal Resiliency Project, which is a large component of that project is already complete. So that formwork, again, was decided upon based on that previous design decision for recognizability around the city. And then the center is the roller gate, which again is in its deployed position, but mostly these gates will be stored in our open and locked position unless exercised, maintained, or again deployed during an actual coastal flood event. And then the flip-up gates on the right, which are stored in their locked and down position, allowing access and mobility on top of those. And then again flipped up or deployed by our agency partner, which will be the DEP, Bureau of Coastal Resilience, either for an exercise or for an actual coastal flood event. And those are manual gates. Hydraulically deployed or manual, pardon me. Next slide, please. And then just to remind folks, the next slide is a brief overview of the environmental review and the land use actions. So the next slide talks about the environmental assessment specifically. We have completed and we met all of the requirements at the federal, state, and local, the NEPA, the Seeker with an S, and Seeker with a C level. The lead agencies throughout that process were NEPA for FEMA, as well as for the state and local, the mayor's office. And we can go to the next slide, please. So we'll take a closer look at specifically what brings us here today, which are the land use actions in the ULURP. So this is an image which shows the project area, it shows the alignment, and then again the the actual land use actions that are included in our ULURP, which includes changes to the city map as well as acquisitions. I think that it was mentioned that the acquisition is acquisition of real property, but we are seeking acquisitions through easements only. We are not actually acquiring any property through this process. And again, the line of protection is the blue line that you see here. So the next slide is specific to the changes in the city map. This is changes in legal street grades. We're going to be mapping Sullivan Street west of Ferris Street, as well as mapping new parkland to enlarge Chod Triangle. So those are the specific changes to the city map. And then the next slide talks about the acquisitions. Again, this is acquisitions to facilitate easements on 20 private lots. Even though they are 20 private lots, the separate lots may have a similar owner. I believe our list of owners is limited to 6, even though they are 20 individual lots. Again, we just want to remind folks that all of the flood protection system elements are located within city-owned right-of-way, and the city does not need to seek an interest in these properties we only need to seek an interest by way of easements, not real property transfer, in order to operate, maintain, and inspect those elements. And this easement is roughly 15 feet out from the center line of the alignment, and we can reassure everyone that all existing structures, businesses, or homes subject to these easements are proposed to remain intact. So the next slide is a little bit more of a close-up in detail to these specific land use actions and the particular parcels of land. I don't want to get into the actual details or specific of each one of these, but we can if there are any specific questions to those. Again, this is an outline of the map, the flood protection, as well as the land use actions related to each property owner. Yellow is the mapping actions, and the magenta is for the acquisitions or easements. One thing to note here is there has been a recent announcement about the Port Authority property here in relation to EDC now managing this for a master plan. So we found out about that on the day we were presenting at EDC. So just to reassure folks that we are in communication with EDC as they continue through the planning of that section. So we're looking forward to working with them on that. And then the next section is for the Beard Street. That was Atlantic and Atlantic Basin, and now this is the Beard Street for the next slide, which again is a similar fashion outline about the coastal flood protection system as well as the particular property owners in relation to those land use actions. And again, if you have specific questions, we can tackle that. So to bring it all together in the next slide, this is again our summary and next steps. As I mentioned, we are in the final stages of the final PS&E, the plan specs and estimate review of the coastal flood protection, which again is passive at 8 feet and active at 10 feet. This is again the final milestone with you all to seek your review of the land use actions in the project. If all goes as well, which we hope it does, we're going to hope to plan for procurement by the end of this year and begin groundbreaking next year, early 2025, and have a 3-year construction duration for that. And then the next slide is just, again, a brief overview of those steps. The top one is, again, some of the design-related items, and of course, the bottom one is the ULURP, and again, which brings us all to you here today. And we have some contact information on the next slide. If you have any information, our contact information is there. We have a project-specific website, and we look forward to answering your questions now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I have a few questions, but before that, I just want to recognize Councilmember Felice has joined us. And before I put it off to Councilmember Aviles, I just have 2 questions, one of which you answered already. This is truly an exciting project, and you answered the question regarding the Port Authority property around the Atlantic Basin, so thank you for that. So my question is, how are flood protection projects like this in Red Hook coordinated with regional efforts like the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Harbor Study?
We do have folks from DEP here today, which we may open that up to them. But this is an exciting time for all of us who do this type of work in coastal resiliency because of that new announcement of that bureau at DEP. If you haven't had a chance to engage with Lorian Farrell and team, I hope that you get a chance soon because we are excited that they are now on board and they have direct lines of communication with those entities. So I don't know if we want to speak specifically about those particular touch points, but
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Beth DeFalco at DEP. Unfortunately, I think Lorian had to leave. Our new. Oh, you're Lauren? Oh, great. Lorian is our new Deputy Commissioner for Coastal Resiliency, and she'll be able to tell you that. If you do get a chance to meet with her afterward, that would be great. These will all incorporate and are taken into account together. Of course, Army Corps is taking a big portion of a lot of the other coastal resiliency projects, but these were also, and DDC can, I think, back me up on, they were designed together. So Eastside Coastal Resiliency as well as Red Hook Coastal Resiliency were designed together, and we will, in the new Bureau of Coastal Resiliency, will be taking operations over once they're complete so that we can work in tandem with NISM, Mayor's Office, everybody else, on when those are actually deployed and not deployed.
Thank you so much. Could the design be modified in the future if higher level of flood protection is needed?
Since I mentioned that we are tying back to existing topography at 10 feet, that does present some challenges. If we want to add to that, we would have to build upon that existing topography to get higher. So there are some challenges to adaptability, but it's not saying that we can't. It's just that, to be so specific about the Eastside Coastal Resiliency Project, we do have that adaptability built into that. So we were able to, include foundations that could support an additional 2 feet as needed. But since, again, the dial for resiliency, you can turn it up as high as you want, but again, that's going to add walls, it's going to add complexity, it's going to add costs, it's going to add further penetration into the neighborhood. So that's where we landed, where we did on the sweet spot of 10 feet. But again, it doesn't preclude any adaptability. It's just that that's where the project landed after many years of design consideration.
So thank you. That concludes my questions. Being from a coastal district of Staten Island, this is, I hope this project will set an example to all of our coastal districts around New York City. So, bravo. This is great. Councilmember Aviles?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you all for being here today. Thank you for the 8 years of work that has been put into this from the moment of feasibility and we're still not done. So I guess I'd like to run through a couple of questions. So can you again, for the record, explain the rationale around not including locations like Food Bazaar and other small businesses around the perimeter?
Yeah, again, there were some challenges because of, there's several. So first would be the land ownership, and those are specifically privately owned parcels of land that abut or touch on the federally managed navigable waters. So sewing that line of flood protection just within that brief or small space is very challenging. And if you talk about real property acquisition, could increase costs and complexity. So that's one of the reasons. Plus, if you also think about how these buildings were originally designed, or their intent or thought was to, again, be located close to that waterfront commerce to provide access, to provide ease of facilitating that industry and commerce. So those buildings were designed basically at grade in order to facilitate that. So they are somewhat left at that elevation because of that original intent. So that, again, presents a challenge to putting that line of flood protection next to those buildings where everything is located so close to the grade. So those, again, are some of the challenges that, again, were considered by this team. We did think about going further out in all different directions of this, but that's where we landed, again, because of those design criteria for the benefit cost analysis, for the actual level of protection, and that's where we landed on the alignment that we did.
In terms of the data that was used, I think a common piece of feedback we've heard from residents was the data doesn't reflect the current reality, right? It's old data, and we know the new reality is a lot more water. We're contending with both water from the sky, water from the ocean, water from underground. So could you respond a little bit to the data that was used and how you address the gap of the data in the current situation?
Sure. So again, we hear all of the concerns about the different sources of the water, like you mentioned, coming from the coastline, also coming from the sky. But again, I just want to remind folks that the Red Hook Coastal Resilience Project, again, addresses that issue from the coastal storm surge. And the data that we used, again, was historic data, and we also included the New York Panel on Climate Change projections for sea level rise, which is where we landed on the level of protection that we did. And this 10 feet, considering that data, manages 99.9% of those historic coastal storms. So that's where we landed on the alignment that we did. I don't know if anyone else wants to discuss about any further details about the data.
Sure, I can just add that the data goes through the year 2020, so it's not historic data, and it's not that far off from the current time frame. And so it takes into account almost 95 years of data from 2000 to 2020.
Great, and I guess it's something we'll continue to closely monitor as conditions evolve, because they certainly will. So one of the serious concerns of the Red Hook community has been, again, related to this, where the water is coming from, is the groundwater and how stormwater is managed, and the concerns around what is the actual plan for Red Hook around how to deal with the water that would be inside of these floodgates, the stormwater, the groundwater. So could you maybe, DEP, talk about some of the current plans and then the long-term plans, which obviously will be an ongoing conversation about how we are gonna also address the, those issues for the water within the barriers?
Sure, Councilwoman. I know that you and I have talked about this plenty, and certainly for those of you who don't know, I'm a proud member of the Red Hook community and live right in the middle of what would be a bathtub effect, or that people have talked about a bathtub effect. One of the hard parts to remember is that we've got different types of flooding. When there's water coming in your house, you don't necessarily care, you just want to get rid of the water. But understanding the type of flooding helps us understand what the solution is. So this is a coastal protection. This is going to protect us against storm surge like we saw with Hurricane Sandy. And given that we have had the awful hurricane season predicted this year, is something I'm particularly concerned with, what the future looks like and how fast this project can get done and start protecting people from that storm surge, that high tide. In addition, we also have projects that we are working on for stormwater or rain from the sky and how that is going to affect Red Hook. We've got a $50 million project, the Columbia Street project, that will add and upsize the sewers between 20 and 25%. That will certainly be a benefit to the community. That starts in 2027. And then we also have a lot of different, and DDC can certainly talk about this as well, that there is drainage built in and pumps built in inside of the coastal protected area, inside of the walls to help drain. Now, some of those can't be activated until your tide goes down, right? Which I tell my neighbors. We had a high tide incident in January. So tide came in about a block or two. We can't do anything until the tide goes down, but within 2 hours that street was bone dry, and that's because the pumps started working exactly as they were supposed to. So we've built in that infrastructure to complement all of the actual walls and other flood protection measures.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that the specific project actually improves some of the drainage issues in the area by some of those grade changes that are incorporated in the project. So the street raising and the grade changes actually improve the drainage.
Great, and in terms of the maintenance of the infrastructure, who will be in charge of the flood protection system? Everything from making sure it's operational to sweeping up all the garbage that we know is going to be surrounding the infrastructure.
That's going to be the new Bureau of Coastal Resiliency. And given that we've got Eastside Coastal Resiliency coming online before this project will come online, we will already, by the time this is fully up, have that process down. So we've got a team that's going to literally be dedicated to the maintenance of all of these floodgates, both the roller gates, flip-up gates, everything else. And that also includes trash and making sure there's not anything that would block it.
Right.
And so it'll be both for Eastside Coastal Resiliency and then also Red Hook.
Great. Thank you. And was there any green infrastructure incorporated into the new design of Todd Triangle or any other part of the design?
I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah, not specifically into Todd Triangle. There are aspects of that area which are green, but there is green infrastructure along some of the project streets as part of this project, along Beard and along Fair Street.
Can you give me a couple of examples?
Exact
offhand?
locations?
Yeah, maybe not, huh?
No, not
Okay.
exact locations. I apologize. But
Well,
yeah,
that's
we can
okay.
share the design plans at some point, and it is part of the project.
Okay, we'll be able just to be able to highlight it for community members. In terms of the if the flood protection system is certified by FEMA, does it change the flood insurance rate map for firm?
It does not.
It does not.
It's
Okay.
for a 10-year storm. The FEMA flood insurance rate maps are based on the 100-year floodplain.
Okay. Great. And in terms of, were any trees disturbed during the process or will be disturbed, and or will you be planting more trees? If so, how and where? How much and where?
Yeah, we do obviously recognize the importance of trees in our urban environment. They sequester CO2, they help with stormwater runoff, they help with infiltration, and they provide shade, which again helps with the heat island effect. So we don't like to remove trees at all. But if we do have a robust tree restitution, or Parks Department has a robust requirement that we do an analysis, we do a tree inventory, and if we remove any, we assess a value for each of those. So we have to replace in the project area where we can, and if we cannot do that within the project limits, this dollar value gets provided to the Parks Department to locate those new trees either in that specific area or in the borough or in the city based on that review. The Parks Department has been along for the ride. They have recognized that they have over 150 species that they can choose from, but for coastal storm or for coastal areas, they limit that to about 49, I believe, which are based on their ability to be resilient to saltwater inundation, other items. So again, we do have to remove some trees. We are replacing them. We're replacing more than we're removing, and if we're not able to reach, I don't believe we're able to reach that same restitution value, we will be funding parks to relocate trees or to add new trees in the area.
And will you be able to tell us specifically where, I guess, as we're further down the line, exactly where those are going to be placed?
Absolutely. We have a tree planting plan within our project specifically. We can share specifically, and then as we work with the Parks Department, we can absolutely ask them what they plan to do with that balance of trees that we're not able to incorporate in our project. We'll definitely provide that information.
Sure. Yes, the Red Hook community is absolutely, trees are so critical given that we lost 500 trees for the resiliency project at the NYCHA campus, and it is hot, hot, hot. It's really problematic. In terms of can you note where all the traffic calming infrastructure will be placed, in particular the raised intersections? So I know we talked about probably 2 raised, is that what it's called? The raised speed
grade.
bumps? I
Yeah.
call them speed bumps. Is that what they are?
So we're raising 2 intersections.
Yes.
The intersections are at Conover and Reed, and then at Conover and Van Brunt.
And can you tell us why those 2 intersections were chosen to be raised?
So specifically the one at Conover and Reed allows us to carry the 10-foot protection without any deployable features across the roadway using the raised crosswalk or the raised intersection. In that location, it's a raised crosswalk. and connect two walls by raising the intersection. And in doing that, by not providing a barrier of any sort, even during a flood event, that street will always be open and in use for vehicles to be able to traverse during an actual storm event. At Reed and Van Brunt, the intersections again were raised to allow the cars to traverse the intersection, but also raised so the sliding gate has a flush foundation to slide on and connect the two retaining walls. And the same similar thing happens at a raised crosswalk at Beard and Van Brunt. And that raised crosswalk is across Van Brunt, and for the same reason, to allow the sliding gate a flush foundation to slide across and make the connection between two retaining walls, or flood walls.
Got it. Thank you for that. Are you at all concerned, given the amount of last mile facilities we have, giant tractor trailers that will be traversing those raised intersections? Is there a maintenance plan for making sure that they stay raised?
So none of those intersections are on the actual truck route, with the exception of, I guess, the one-way or the dead-end street that is Van Brunt. So that one section of roadway that is dead-end that goes down to the food bazaar, there are going to be heavy vehicles, trucks that will use that route. But the major truck route comes down Van Brunt and then turns onto Beard. So none of the other raised features are on the truck route.
Okay. You know, trucks don't follow the truck route, right? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And lastly, I guess, you know, we talked about, you know, potential opportunities for engaging Red Hook artists and youth in any part of, you know, community improvements related to the resiliency projects. Do you foresee any of those possibilities? And if so, when, maybe?
Are they, you mean specific to the flood protection components themselves? So because of their actual function as flood protection, we want to enable our operating agency to be able to access them, to do the inspection, to see if there are any cracks or any potential failure points to those. So that limits our ability to actually affix or paint or do anything to those specific elements. So regarding public art, we've been considering that throughout the life of all of our projects, especially Eastside Coast Resiliency, because those walls are actually a little bit taller, but again, we're limited to actually doing murals because of that inspection requirement. We also at some point considered making them green or growing or living walls, or actually climbing walls, actually doing, but again, unfortunately, they have a specific and very important function, and with that function becomes a specific requirement for inspection. So we're limited to actual public art on these actual elements, but throughout the life of construction, we did have an engagement with school age youngsters to actually propose drawings for the actual construction fencing. So we'll be looking for opportunities like that throughout the life of Red Hook construction. Yeah, so we'll be likely doing the same thing.
Great. Wherever we can get opportunities to engage, not only in learning about what the apparatus is and the science and engineering that goes into it, but certainly making them beautiful. Thank you. And I guess lastly, for residents who are concerned and really can't imagine like how this actually operationalizes, like, can you walk us through, like, storm is coming, what next?
Yeah, absolutely. We, for all of these coastal resiliency projects, we have an operations and maintenance plan, and part of that is an appendix called the emergency, or the ERP, the emergency response plan, which has a specific countdown to deployment based on emergency management, essentially giving out the signals for their coastal activation playbook. And that starts sometimes as early as 128 hours, but likely at 96 hours ahead of 0 hour, which is maximum sustained winds of 39 miles per hour. So we will be working to finalize that work plan with our operating agency, DEP, Bureau of Coastal Resilience. They'll have that plan in hand, and they'll be at the Emergency Operations Center at Emergency Management, and they'll be counting down the clock. And when that specific schedule says deploy this gate at this intersection, DEP will have that plan in hand and will actually be ready to go by actually deploying these measures for not only for Red Hook, but for all of the coastal resiliency projects.
Great, and so lastly, we love a commitment from DP and any other agency that is involved here to make sure that we have enough community engagement and awareness building around what the expectations are and just preparedness in general, so that we're all not running around crazy, although community members are always prepared and figure out how to respond accordingly. But it would be great to do a good amount of awareness building around how we protect ourselves. If whoever is supposed to be deployed cannot get there, this community is going to have to figure out how to support itself and manage its own apparatus.
I think that the community will actually see us out there quite a bit, especially as not only maintaining, but doing those drills.
Great.
And it'll be a great opportunity, an educational opportunity to talk to people about what we're doing, how we're doing it, why you've got to use, in some cases, machines. In other cases, it's purely manual, and it's intended to be that way for a lot of different reasons. But then also there will be a long lead up. When we're looking at a storm of this size that comes into the city, we don't find out about it 48 hours in advance. We usually have a pretty good idea, and then you spend days and days and days on calls. So, certainly both transparency and notification of the community would be a large part of that.
Great, thank you so much. And I know we have several years to go still yet with the building, and just want to reaffirm the importance of communicating with the community and ensuring that things are transparent, and if things go sideways, that we do our best to be transparent about those things and the implications and how we kind of move forward together. Obviously, there's a ton of skepticism given the changing dynamics, and just generally when city builds stuff, it's like, the residents are really nervous about it. And a constant ask for consistent and ongoing communication across city agencies, which sometimes actually looks pretty good and then sometimes is appallingly not occurring. So thank you for your work on this, and we'll continue to be in touch. And thank you, Chair, for the time.
You're very welcome. Thank you all so much. There's no other colleagues that wish to testify or have questions. With that, thank you. This panel is now excused.
Thank you very much.
Council, are there any members of the public who wish to testify on this item?
I don't have anybody in person who signed up to speak. If you are interested, you need to fill out a card. And I also don't have anyone online who's indicated that they're interested in speaking. If you're online and interested in speaking, you need to raise your hand or otherwise let the Zoom host know.
If there are any remote public participants who wish to testify?
I think we do have a.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna move to online. We'll move to online comments right now.
Okay, thank you. Members of the public will be given 2 minutes to speak. Please do not begin until the Sergeant at Arms has started the clock. We will now hear from the first panel.
This is Victoria Alexander.
Okay, great. Let me be prepared. Thank you. My name is Victoria Alexander. I'm a resident of Red Hook. I'm also been a member of Resilient Red Hook for over a decade, since Hurricane Sandy, and was part of the New York Rising program. We still have several concerns, and we've been trying to engage with DDC and DEP about the issues that we still have not feel like there's clarity on how this will actually look for our neighborhood, besides there being huge walls everywhere, which is a large concern. So I want to thank everybody for their time also, and appreciate it. So we feel like there should be a comprehensive analysis of our current infrastructure. We have been asking for a sewer study for over 10 years for this neighborhood, a comprehensive sewer study. We've asked about two projects, the HWK 700A and 700B, that have been delayed over 20 years. And those are upgrades to our sewer system that still have not happened. Also understanding the last mile warehouse implications that are happening in this neighborhood, and that how those will impact this project, and work together to resolve some of the negative benefits that we're having. And we have not seen a detailed cost benefit analysis and risk analysis of this project to know that the funds that are being used are the best way to spend these funds to protect the neighborhood. One of the biggest issues that we've had that we continue to ask for and don't seem to get an answer that seems reasonable is that why we cannot preserve Red Hook's cobblestone streets is a crucial neighborhood characteristic and part of our heritage. We've lost so much of it because of Amazon and other projects that have just torn it up. The answers from the DDC were that it wasn't cost effective, that would cause tripping problems. They don't want to maintain it, basically. I don't think there's funds to maintain it, but that's not a reason to destroy our historic culture and unique character of this neighborhood, and ends up being one of the reasons that people come to this neighborhood. We're concerned about the CSO pollution and the flood wall design and installation stop check valves that will mitigate, creating the bathtub effect that we have not heard answers where we feel that those.
We're going to ask you to wrap up. Do you have any more? Yes.
I have a long list of our issues, so
Okay.
I will submit them online.
Thank you for
and I
submitting that
appreciate-
testimony.
yes.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Council member, do you have any questions? Okay. If there are any remote public participants who also wish to testify and not have done so, please press the raise hand button now. If you are here with us in person, please see the Sergeant at Arms to fill out a speaker card. With there being no other members of the public who wish to testify regarding Land Use 84 and 85 Red Hook Coastal Resiliency Project, the public hearing is now closed and the items are laid over. That concludes today's business, and I would like to thank the members of the public, my colleagues, subcommittee council, land use staff, Sergeant at Arms, for your participation today. This meeting is hereby adjourned.